reach like 50 or 100 attendees. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Okay, so good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Jakarta Post's webinar. This is the 21st JakPost Up Close, and our topic today is supporting Indonesia's socio-economic recovery through ECOSOC. As a background, ECOSOC, or the Economic and Social Council, is one of the United Nations' 6 principal organs. The ECOSOC serves as the central forum for discussing international economic and social issues and formulating policy recommendations to member states. Once again, thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Vela. I'm a journalist at the Jakarta Post, and before we start, I would like to explain some rules for the webinar. We will have 5 distinguished speakers. We will start the webinar with a keynote speech from Foreign Affairs Ministry, Bapak Febrian Alphyanto Ruddyard, the ministry's multilateral cooperation director general. And then we will listen to some presentations and talk show from the other panelists. We will have Bapak Agustaviano Sofjan, the Foreign Ministry's Director for Development, Ibu Sophia Kemkhadze from the UNDP Indonesia Deputy Resident Representative, Ibu Dian Kartika Sari, Chairwoman of the International NGO Forum on Indonesian Development or INFID, and Ibu Shinta Kamdani, member of the Global Investors for Sustainable Development or GISD Alliance. Each of the speaker will have 15 minutes to talk. After that, we will proceed to the Q&A session for the last half an hour. However, due to the limited time that we have, I would like to apologize in advance because we will not be able to discuss all of your questions. However, feel free to ask any question if you may have throughout the webinar by using Q&A feature on your Zoom app. We will select some questions to be discussed, and the panelists can also directly answer to your questions on the feature as well. And also, please do not hesitate to ask your questions in Bahasa Indonesia because I will be happy to translate them for you. That's all. Once again, thank you for participating in this webinar. And also, you can always support good journalism by subscribing today on the jakartapost.com/packages. I will share the link in the chat box as well. Before I hand over the platform to the moderator, there is a video from the Indonesian Foreign Ministry that we will watch. So please enjoy. Okay, we're still waiting for the video to be played. Okay, we're still waiting for the video. Please wait.
Tahun ini Indonesia juga merayakan kemerdekaan yang ke-75 tahun. Dan sudah menjadi tekad kami, Indonesia terus berkontribusi bagi perdamaian dunia sesuai amanah konstitusi. Indonesia akan terus memainkan peran sebagai bridge builder, sebagai bagian dari solusi. Secara konsisten, komitmen ini terus dijalankan Indonesia, termasuk saat Indonesia duduk sebagai anggota Dewan Keamanan PBB. Spirit kerjasama akan selalu dikedepankan Indonesia, spirit yang menguntungkan semua pihak tanpa meninggalkan satu negara pun. No one, no country should be left behind.
So that was a great video from the Indonesian Foreign Ministry to kick off our discussion this afternoon. I hope we will all enjoy this webinar, and now I will hand over to our moderator for today, my fellow journalist at the Post. Please welcome Dian Septiari. Dian, the platform is yours.
Thank you, Vela. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. And thank you very much for joining this webinar. As we just watched in the video just now, this year Indonesia has secured a seat on the UN Economic and Social Council (ECOSOC) for the 2021 to 2023. We have to understand that the ECOSOC consists of 54 member states, and Indonesia will be representing Asia Pacific region together with 2 other countries. This council is where countries discuss international economic and social issues and formulating various policy recommendations. I think we can see that in the last 3 years, Indonesia has hit a sort of like hat trick in achieving various membership in international councils. The first one was in 2018 for the UN Security Council, and then the UN Human Rights Council, and this year the UN Economic and Social Council. I believe that people would understand or would know what the UN Security Council and the UN Human Rights Council probably from the news. But when we heard about ECOSOC, we might not be so sure about what it really means and what Indonesia's membership will really entail. Especially now with the pandemic, we might wonder what kind of benefit we will get from this council. However, we know that now COVID-19 brought not just health crisis, but an all-encompassing social economic crisis that would disrupt Indonesia's effort to achieve many sustainable development goals. And according to latest report from UNESCAP, which is a regional commission under ECOSOC, the socio-economic impact of COVID-19 hits the vulnerable groups the hardest. We already see how millions are losing their jobs. We see that those who are just a little above poverty line are prone to falling back into poverty. We have see firsthand how the healthcare system is under incredible pressure right now, and not only that, we see that how students who have limited access to internet might lose education. That is why I believe it is important for us to learn more about how the membership could drive a post-COVID-19 social, economic, and economic recovery in Indonesia. To discuss about this issue, we are very honored to have distinguished panel of speakers who can speak and bring their expertise on how Indonesia will tackle this issue. But before we start, I would like to play a recorded opening remarks from Pak Febrian Ruddyard, the Foreign Ministry's Director General for Multilateral Cooperation, to give us some kind of broad overview about Indonesia's membership in ECOSOC. I would ask someone to play the video.
Representatives of embassies, friends of SDGs, esteemed panelists, distinguished participants, good afternoon. It is a pleasure for me to deliver opening remarks on this special event to highlight and discuss Indonesia's membership in the United Nations Economic and Social Council, or ECOSOC, for the period of 2021-2023. Indonesia membership in the ECOSOC is imperative. It is not only a testament to the confidence of the international community to Indonesia, but also an important platform to accelerate Indonesia's post-pandemic social and economic recovery. That is why the main theme of our discussion today, supporting Indonesia's economic and social recovery through ECOSOC, is very timely. I believe that the key to a strong and sustainable recovery is to utilize any opportunity, including our engagement within the UN system. The crisis we are facing today is considered by many as the most formidable challenges since the World War II. It emerged as a real threat and hampers all countries' effort to achieve SDGs. The progress of SDGs has been uneven and even before the COVID-19, and thus we should all be concerned on how the pandemic has altered SDGs implementation and the prospect of meeting our goals in 2030. We are beginning to grasp the enormity of the challenge. The economic impact of COVID-19 could increase global poverty for the first time in 3 decades and pushing more than 500 million people, or 8% of humanity, into poverty. In Asia Pacific alone, between 90 million and 400 million people be pushed back into poverty. The IMF estimates that our world has entered into a recession with estimate of economic losses of $2 trillion. UNESCO estimates that around 1.25 billion students are affected by this pandemic. Furthermore, according to the ILO, some 25 million people could lose their job, with those in informal employment suffering most from lack of social protection during this pandemic. In terms of our engagement in ECOSOC, we must recall that ECOSOC is the main global platform for cooperation and monitoring of SDGs. In this regard, the pandemic has strongly highlighted how the different global goals and targets are closely interlinked. The pandemic began as a major health concern under Goal 3 on health. But now, in fact, we understand that its overall impact has affected almost all other goals. There is absolutely no question that any form of recovery everywhere in the world should be addressed evenly within the framework of SDGs. A strong recovery requires a holistic approach with an inclusive multi-stakeholder processes. Now more than ever, we have not abandoned our most vulnerable peoples hardest hit by the crisis. Friends of SDGs, distinguished participants, at this opportunity, I would like to reiterate Indonesia's commitment to placing our social and economic recovery in the framework of the SDGs, not only as a direct response to the fallout of the pandemic, but also to remain steadfast in our track to achieving the 2030 agenda. As for Indonesia, this commitment means placing an emphasis on emergency health services, social protection, facilitating support for MSMEs, and preventing students from leaving school. But more must be done in the medium term to salvage the momentum of SDGs. In this respect, Indonesia has been actively participating in the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, or UNESCAP, discussion on fast-tracking the SDGs in the Asia Pacific. Those discussions highlighted 6 entry points for achieving the SDGs in the face of the pandemic. These include strengthening human well-being and capabilities, shifting toward a sustainable and just economies, building sustainable food system, achieving energy decarbonization and universal access to energy, promoting sustainable urban and peri-urban development, and securing the global environment commerce. It is my fervent hope that our membership in ECOSOC will expand the discourse and develop concrete action on the 6 entry points of SDGs achievement at the global level. This is in line with the call to action to build back better. An important role that ECOSOC will play is to promote exchange of best practices. We need to learn as much as we can on the successes and challenges of others while doing our part to share our experience with others. A strong recovery will be driven by multilateral collaboration and partnership, not unilateralism or me-first inclination. I am confident that this event can explore deeper on what issues we can promote and explore further in our ECOSOC engagement in the next 3 years. In this connection, I thank the Jakarta Post for their valuable support and collaboration in organizing this event. I would also like to emphasize that our ECOSOC membership will precede our chairmanship of ASEAN and G20 in 2023. In both forums, Indonesia will perhaps continue to promote the 2030 agenda as one of the key issues for our chairmanship. Our work in ECOSOC will inform and complement to the busy calendar we are going to have during 2023. To conclude, I wish you all good and fruitful discussion. Thank you.
Now that is Pa Febri's remark have opened us a ground to start this discussion. If I may conclude from his speech, he emphasized on the pandemic, how the pandemic has highlighted goals and targets are closely interlinked. So efforts to recovery should be addressed evenly, holistically in these multi-stakeholder processes. That is why I believe that this discussion will be a very good place to start, because we have a very interesting panel of discussion from various stakeholders. And to dig deeper on these points, let's move along to our first speaker, Pak Agustaviano Sofjan, the Foreign Ministry's Director for Development, the Economy, and the Environment. Pak Agus will be elaborating on the government's effort in achieving SDGs amid the crisis caused by COVID-19 pandemic, and what are Indonesia's priorities in the ECOSOC. Pak Agus, the platform is yours.
Thank you, moderator Ibu Dian. Good afternoon to all the panelists and also the participants of this webinar. I'm truly honored to be among the distinguished speakers, and I'm also happy to see the Jakarta Post is working together with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and that the Jakarta Post is facilitating this webinar. Let me start by recognizing the remarks that has just been made by my Director General for Multilateral Cooperation. I think his remarks sets a very good background for our discussion. I think I have a presentation that probably can be displayed. Okay, I think we can start with the first slide. As we all probably know that on the 18th of June this year, 2020, Indonesia was elected as member of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, or known as ECOSOC, for the period of 2021 to 2023, which demonstrate the trust by the international community to Indonesia to contributing issues related to economic and social issues. I think this was also has been explained by the Director General himself, and this surely has that Indonesia has always played and contribute to this multilateral agenda. We have always contributed actively, not only in UN, but also in other regional, global forums. And certainly by Indonesia being a member of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, we will continue to play this active role. This, of course, Indonesia believes that by multilateral, we can continue to collaborate among countries, and we believe and respect the rules-based international system. Okay. And of course, this includes the participation of Indonesia in ECOSOC. I mean, as you can see that if we can go back to the slide before that, yes, I think I just want to show to all the participants that we already have an official logo for Indonesia membership of ECOSOC. As you can see, there's a dove, and it shows that Indonesia is a true partner for sustainable development. So this role we will surely play dearly and try to contribute, not only implementing and promoting sustainable development, and also we can contribute how we want to also contribute for the better of the world. Okay, the next slide. As also explained by Bu Dian, the moderator, that ECOSOC is one of the organs of United Nations, and its mandate is to coordinate and reviews and hold dialogues regarding policies and issues related to economy and social aspects, and of course, including the implementation of Sustainable Development Goals. Now, on speaking on SDGs, Agenda 2030, this has never been more important as we face the current pandemic, COVID-19. As we all know that SDG covers a whole range of issues. There is 17 goals and 169 targets. This includes also goal 3 for good health and well-being. So if we don't deal with the health problem, it will also affect the other goals. So basically all the goals in SDGs, all the 17 goals are all interrelated. They can also complement each other. So, and it is important that these goals be achieved in a way that that is according to countries. As we all know that for Indonesia, SDGs has also been a mainstream in our RPGM, or the national midterm planning for 2020 to 2024. If we go through the RPGM of Indonesia, it clearly states how SDGs is mainstream there. So it is clear for us how we want to, how we want to also contribute, how we want to also play our role in ECOSOC by trying to continue promote and implement SDGs. Okay, next slide. Going back on ECOSOC, I mean, we all know that in these circumstances that ECOSOC plays an important part in trying to deal with COVID-19, and therefore Indonesia will advance the economic and social recovery for COVID-19, as my Director General mentioned in his remark, that SDG as a recovery framework to dealing with COVID-19. And so therefore, we have, we will advance to have COVID-19, and the economic and social recovery of COVID-19 as an overarching goal through the 4 priorities that we plan to achieve in ECOSOC. So let me also state the priorities that Indonesia would like to advance in ECOSOC. The first is creative economy. On creative economy, last year, under the UN General Assembly, the UN General Assembly endorsed a resolution put forward by Indonesia, and resolution 74/198. It was to announce that 2021 as the International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development. So next year will commemorate as an International Year for Creative Economy. And this resolution was unanimously adopted by countries at the UN General Assembly. And second, we also want to promote the innovative financing for sustainable, for SDGs. As we know that Indonesia has also been playing a lot in trying to move forward implementing these SDGs, but we know that implementing SDGs will require sufficient and adequate funding, and of course funding from the government alone would be enough, would not be enough, as UN has also reported there is a financial gap around the world for the implementation of SDGs. So Indonesia has come up with a number of mechanisms in trying to move forward with financing SDGs. Among others is the blended finance. We also have the green sukuk, and we also other innovative mechanisms that we have also introduced. And the third other issues that we're going to put in ECOSOC is sharing the best practices in the digital taxation system. This is more related how we are also going to mobilize our domestic resources in Indonesia alone, how we also see that in trying to support the fiscal policy in Indonesia, we also like to find other ways in trying to support the financing for SDGs. And so, and another issue that we're going to push forward in ECOSOC is to improve first response humanitarian assistance in disasters management. As we all know that Indonesia is prone to national disasters, and that although we continue to improve and strengthen our effort in trying to manage any kind of disasters that we face. So, but it is always good if we continue to have discussions to collaborate with countries in the framework of ECOSOC, so we can learn the best practices and lessons learned from each other. Okay, next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. Okay, anyway, just to also say that Indonesia will utilize ECOSOC as a platform to continue promote perspectives on SDGs as a development compass and innovative financing, improving the quality of human resources, economic financial inclusions, and green growth. And I think, is it back? Okay. Okay, so these are the activities. Okay, I think I've passed this already, so we can go to the next slide. Okay, so here are the activities that we plan to have during our membership of ECOSOC. Certainly, we will work together with multi-stakeholders, you know, and I was just recently from Bali last week to attend a webinar and trying to empower micro, small, medium enterprises. So, and that we were working together not only with the government institutions, but also other financial institutions and all the other stakeholders. So, you know, of course, certainly by working with multi-stakeholders, this will increase our effort in trying to move forward with our implementation of SDGs. And in 2021, as I said, that it will be the year of creative economy for sustainable development. We plan to have a side event during the high-level political forum next year. As you know that in ECOSOC, there is a forum known as the High-Level Political Forum, which meets every year, that reviews and implement issues related to sustainable development. And each year, Indonesia have always participated. And if I can also inform to all the participants here in this webinar that in 2017, 2019, Indonesia also participated in providing its voluntary national review for SDGs, and Indonesians were elected to present their voluntary national review on SDGs, that as one of the criteria that Indonesia was able to present in that forum was the enabling environment that Indonesia has in trying to move forward with SDGs. And just recently, I've also learned that next year, 2021, Indonesia will again be asked to present their voluntary national review. So it would be the third time Indonesia will present the VNR. So this is again a trust by the UN and also the international community for Indonesia to be an active player in ECOSOC. And 2021 we will also have a number of national and regional workshops on a creative economy as an effort to continue to promote sustainable development. And in 2022 to 2023, we will continue also a number of issues that I have already explained to you, with the sharing of best practices in the digital taxation system, then also the innovative financing for the SDGs. And certainly we will also like to collaborate and with other multi-stakeholders, not only with the government sectors, but also with NGOs, civil society, think tank, and also the private sector. So basically, that's all from my presentation. And in closing, I would say that Indonesia is ready to take the membership of ECOSOC, as we have always played a very active role in numerous multilateral corporations, whether it's the UN, whether it's at the global, regional, and international forums. And it is rightly to say that from my modest presentation, that Indonesia is a true partner of sustainable development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak Agustaviano. It's a very interesting presentation. I have taken some notes. I think the most important thing that I've heard from you today is that the membership is not only significant for Indonesia for implementing SDGs, but also contributing to the world. It means that Indonesia have something to offer to ECOSOC, especially in several key priorities on a creative economy, innovative financing for the SDGs, best practices in digital taxation system, and first response humanitarian assistance in disasters. I think each of these issues have their own many agenda that the foreign ministry will be working on. But I'm also wondering that, for example, what's your view on the financing for the SDGs? As you know that right now we are facing a lot of recessions around the world. The world is in recession. How can we be more innovative to ensure that people who are struck the hardest by the pandemic can recover and we can achieve our 2030 goals?
Do I answer it right now?
Yeah, Pak.
Okay, thank you for that question, Dian. You are right. I mean, in this time of circumstances where we face the pandemic, COVID-19, that has impacted the economic and social aspects, and most hard hit are the vulnerables, as you mentioned before. And we are trying to assist them, particularly the most vulnerable. And when I say the most vulnerable in terms of economic, is the micro, small, medium enterprises. So of course, certainly the government of Indonesia, through its stimulus economy, have put many assistance and packages for helping the micro, small, medium enterprise. As you probably know, that the government has allocated more than 120 trillion rupiah in supporting the micro, small, medium enterprises. Now, and besides that, we have also tried to assist them in other capacity building, and in trying the effort for our micro, small, medium enterprise to survive is the use of digitalization. Digitalization or the use of IT is certainly a way forward for this small, medium enterprise to survive. And we have learned that those who have already used this digitalization, IT, they can be more resilient. Could you imagine? And we are also very lucky, Dian, and all participants, that Indonesia have actually already its ecosystem working with the startups, with the Tokopedia, with Bukalapak, with Gojek. Could you imagine that if this pandemic, occurred, that we did not have this kind of digitalization economy? So actually, with this digitalization economy that Indonesia already have, we can continue to strengthen it even more. So that's also ways that we also going to discuss. They would like to have these discussions during the ECOSOC next year.
Okay, Pak Agustaviano, that is a very interesting food for thought. I think you also mentioned about cooperating with various stakeholders, including institutions, civil societies, and private sectors. How do you translate, or how do you express how Indonesia is approaching the SDGs, and how it's with this year everything has changed so fast? How do you communicate this kind of priorities and concerns to your partners?
Again, Dian, I think what we are doing right now with this webinar is, using this technology that we have, and we can communicate, throughout. Like I mentioned last week that I was in Bali to attend this webinar that we were working together with Bank Rakyat Indonesia and Ministry of Cooperative and Small Medium Enterprises. We were working with our stakeholders in how to fight this pandemic. Of course, we need to consider all the health strict protocols, in our meetings. Certainly, the digitalization that we are using is also a part of communicating, and this will, and so that this kind of circumstances will not lose their spirit for us to be productive. Even in this time of circumstances that we cannot meet physically, but we continue to be productive. We have this webinar, and I'm very thankful to Jakarta Post and to be facilitating this event, and we can communicate. I could communicate to Ibu Dian Kartika from INFID, or to whoever that I want to communicate, and I think we shall be stronger, and we shall build back better. That's the terms that we always use in SDGs.
Thank you very much, Pak Agustaviano. Yeah, I agree with you. I believe that no country could realize all of the sustainable development goals alone, not just the government, but it requires a network of development cooperation. And for this, it's a great way for us to segue to our next speakers. The role of the United Nations Development Program is very central in coordinating this network of development. And we have invited Ibu Sophie Kemkhadze, the Indonesian Deputy Resident Representative of UNDP. Unfortunately, she could not be with us this afternoon, but we have recorded a conversation with her this morning about the realizations of SDGs Indonesia, and we will play it for you. Thank you for joining us, Ibu Sophie Kemkhadze. We are very honored to have you here today. We know that COVID-19 brought not just a health crisis, but an all-encompassing human, social, and economic crisis that has maybe would disrupt Indonesia's effort to achieve many sustainable development goals. That is why I want to ask you several questions. My first question is, how do you see Indonesia's progress towards achieving the SDGs?
Hello, and first of all, let me start by thanking the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Indonesia and the Jakarta Post for inviting UNDP to join this interesting conversation on SDGs. Allow me also to confirm my highest appreciation to the keynote speaker of today's meeting and the distinguished panel members. Indonesia is one of those countries which has shown an exemplary commitment to the Sustainable Development Agenda since its adoption 5 years ago. SDGs is an ambitious agenda, and its fulfillment requires mobilization of the entire society. Indonesia is transforming at a rate faster than at any time in its history. With the 2030 agenda in mind, the nation is positioning towards a higher value, globally integrated and lower carbon economy. Investments in human development are also emphasizing commitments to SDGs. The SDGs have been embedded in the medium-term national development plans, and as we know, 118 out of 164 SDG targets, which are most relevant to the Indonesian context, have been incorporated in the RPGMN for 2020 and 2024. Subnational governments are also mainstreaming SDGs into the medium-term regional development plans. We also see strong commitment to SDGs from the civil society, private sector, and among young men and women, which of course creates solid grounds for optimistic expectations for attaining SDGs. Now, while progress on SDGs is apparent and all statistics speak about it, Indonesia still faces significant challenge of inequalities. Human Development Index, which placed Indonesia among high human development countries last year for the first time in history, drops by 17.5% if adjusted for inequality. This means that 1/5 of the human development gains are eaten up because of inequality. This obviously challenges Indonesia's ability to address Leave No One Behind, the capstone of the Global 2030 agenda. Other structural impediments include a high level of greenhouse gas emissions and gender inequality, as well as overarching risk factors such as natural disasters and climate change. And as you mentioned, this recent experience shows that pandemics also is emerging as a major challenge. Again, this pandemic started as a health crisis and fast escalated into the global socioeconomic challenge. Now, while the full extent of the impact of COVID pandemic on SDGs is yet to be seen, it is clear that it has posed significant setbacks and even caused regression for some targets, including those related to poverty reduction, access to education, access to health, inequalities, and others which make the task of attaining the global goals by 2030 even more challenging.
So what is the key UNDP's initiative in supporting SDGs in Indonesia? And can you tell us about the results of the program so far?
Indeed, implementing the SDGs requires a comprehensive and whole society approach, and UNDP has been privileged to work with the government, civil society, and private sector in mainstreaming the SDGs into the three key areas: and policy formulation and financing. Now, during our cooperation framework consultations process earlier this year, 4 strategic priorities were identified around which the UN system in Indonesia will mobilize its combined expertise to support Indonesian people to raise the bar and strive for dynamic economic transformation and inclusive development in the next 5 years. Now, this includes inclusive human development, economic transformation, enhancing resilience towards climate change and disasters, and innovation for accelerating SDGs achievement. These strategic priorities are fully aligned with RPGMN, with government's longer-term Vision 2045, and of course, SDGs. Well, I can tell you that whatever we do as part of our cooperation with the government in Indonesia is aligned with SDGs and is aimed to accelerating attainment of the global goals. While the temptation of giving you a tour to our rich and diverse portfolio is really very big, I will still try to only mention few highlights which show how UNDP is trying to push the boundaries and to expand the development space for SDGs. For example, together with our partners from the government and private sector, we work on expanding the fiscal space for SDGs. In simple terms, financial deficit for attaining sustainable development goals is estimated as 3 to 5 trillion US dollars per year. This is a huge resource gap, and let's be realistic about it. There is no way that government financing or development funds can close the gap. That's why we work with our traditional and non-traditional partners for leveraging resources for SDGs. This is where innovative financing comes in. Ibu Shinta is part of the panel today, and I'm sure she will speak to this issue. In Indonesia, UNDP established the Innovative Financing Lab, a co-creation space to explore innovative financing instruments, including blended finance, Islamic finance, green bonds, impact fund, and others. We are proud that Indonesia indeed has made a history by being the first country which channeled zakat for SDGs, or which issued the first sovereign green Islamic bonds in the world. First retail green sukuk was also issued here in Indonesia, and Indonesia is now working on SDGs and blue bonds. This, of course, enhances financing for sustainable development goals. Well, attaining SDGs requires exploring of innovative economic models. So together with the government, we work on the strategy for circular economy, an economic model which is aimed at eliminating waste and the continual use of resources. It has many economic, social, and environmental benefits, and has a potential to become a powerful instrument for materializing government plan for low carbon development, green economy, and also green recovery. I also want to mention about our partnership with the Ministry of Health, where we are rolling out innovative digital vaccine management system called SMILE, which allows to control stocks, supplies, storage regime, and utilization of vaccine stocks through a smart application on your mobile phone at the level of Puskesmas. Big part of our work is related to addressing the new generation of inequalities, particularly in remote and isolated areas. We work on enhancing access to renewable energy for thousands of men and women in Indonesia. Access to clean energy means access to internet, which is critical these days as we see, or access to water, access to better health, education, gender equality, and of course, better opportunities for economic activities. And I am also happy to share with you that we are now setting up an accelerator lab, another space for exploring systemic challenges for SDGs and for designing system solutions and experimenting together with our partners to prepare innovative solutions for scale up and roll out by various partners for creating positive impact on SDGs. And finally, as you know, UNDP is committed for capacity building and knowledge sharing. So together with the government and Keynote Foundation, we have set up an SDG Academy. This is again very innovative learning platform to promote knowledge and best practices on SDGs for the government, private sector, and civil society.
Okay, Ibu Sophie, it seems like it's a very wide-ranging issues. Ibu Sophie, how is the COVID-19 impacted the way UNDP runs its program? If you tell us more about it.
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted each and every aspect of our lives around the globe, and obviously it has had an impact on the way how we operate and how we run our programs as well. Well, COVID, as I said, which started as a health crisis, quickly escalated into an unprecedented socioeconomic challenge at all levels. And yes, it affects everyone and no one is immune from it, but disadvantaged people are much more vulnerable to this crisis, particularly to socioeconomic impact of it, simply because their coping capacities are limited. In the beginning of the COVID pandemic, our efforts were focused on supporting the government in immediate response. In partnership with the World Health Organization and other UN agencies, we worked with the government to strengthen response capacity of the health sector, coordination at subnational level, and mitigation of socioeconomic impact on the vulnerable groups. I want to particularly mention about our work to address the needs of the victims of gender-based violence, for example, where we worked with our partners to redesign the standard operational procedures which allowed for uninterrupted provision of services to these people who most need it, while also at the same time respecting the protocol for COVID-19. We also worked hard to support people with disabilities. But as we started to better understand the nature of this crisis, we have also shifted the gears and started focusing on recovery efforts. We are encouraged to see the commitment of the government on green recovery because we understand that going back to pre-COVID reality is neither feasible nor desirable. We are partnering with the government on building forward better and currently working with our partners to green fiscal stimulus packages for recovery and to promote economic models for low carbon development. Circular economy, which I was talking about a minute ago, is one of such models. We also work with the subnational governments to support them to assess the needs for COVID recovery and to make this recovery plans inclusive and green. And we work with micro enterprises, youth enterprises, and also other vulnerable groups to help them restart their livelihoods through social protection or economic measures. Well, this crisis has shown us that innovation, digitalization, and resilience are key for sustainability. The crisis has also shown us that SDGs are more relevant today than ever before. Therefore, our efforts are focused on sustainable recovery, which also brings development back to the SDGs trajectory.
Okay, thank you very much. I have my last question. Indonesia has been elected as an ECOSOC member for 2021 to 2023. What are your hopes for Indonesia's membership in ECOSOC, particularly in terms of SDGs achievement?
Well, we are very pleased that Indonesia was elected to serve on the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, in 2021 to 2023. Indonesia was elected by an overwhelming majority, reflecting the strong confidence of the international community on Indonesia's contributions to advancing sustainable development. This decision is very logical, given Indonesia's growing stature in multinational and regional cooperation in recent years. As a member of ECOSOC, Indonesia is well positioned to focus on accelerating the implementation of the SDGs as part of the 2030 agenda and to promote greater cooperation, collaboration, and exchange of best practices to achieve common goals. In fact, Indonesia is long known for a pioneering role in forging economic strategic cooperation initiatives and is committed to South-South and triangular cooperation agenda. And UNDP has a privilege to partner with the government in this area. The creation of the Development Aid Agency, IndoAid, is in line with Indonesia's transition from being a donor recipient country to a donor nation. At the same time, it also reflects Indonesia's steady progress in its growth and prosperity and Indonesia's commitment for regional and global cooperation. When the country begins its terms in ECOSOC next year, we will be just 9 years away from 2030, and we hope that Indonesia can help the international community in advancing sustainable development and also help us to achieve our common goals during this critical stretch. Well, the scale of the agenda is indeed ambitious, but we all have a shared responsibility to achieve the global goals. The economic, social, and environmental aspects of the agenda are all integrated, and we know we can count on our partners here in Indonesia. We cannot achieve SDGs individually. We have to have collective action. So together, we can ensure to leave no one behind.
Thank you, Bu Sophie. You leave it in a very important note that no country could realize all of the SDGs alone, because this is a very ambitious goal, but it's very important. So it's very important for countries, governments, international organizations, and NGOs, and many elements of the country, of the society, can work together to achieve these goals. I thank you very much for having a conversation with us. I look forward to have more discussion about this issue with you. Thank you very much, Ibu.
Thank you, Dian, and wish you a successful conference later.
It was a very insightful discussion with Ibu Sophie this morning. Ibu Sophie highlighted how her agency have shifted gears and started focusing on recovery efforts because of the pandemic. But for me, one of the efforts that's quite interesting is the emphasis on green recovery, green fiscal stimulus packages for recovery, and various economic models for low carbon development, including in circular economy. This is a very interesting. We can have more discussion about it in the Q&A session, but we go to our next speaker. We have Ibu Dian Kartika Sari, same name with me. Ibu Dian is the chairperson of the International NGO Forum on Indonesia Development, or we know it as INFID. Ibu Dian will talk about the findings on Indonesia's progress in achieving SDGs during the COVID pandemics, and what are the INFID's programs related to SDGs in Indonesia, particularly in economic sector. Ibu Dian, the platform is yours.
Yes, thank you, Mbak Dian Septian. Good afternoon, Pak Agustaviano, and good afternoon, everyone, the participant, and thank you, Jakarta Post, to invite me to participate in this very important discussion. Would you please share screen for my presentation, please? Thank you. Yeah. I would like to share to all the participants about the Indonesian membership on ECOSOC 2021 until 2030, and what is the GSO role in supporting SDGs and SDGs implementation and the way forward. For the next slide, please. This is the table content as what is INFID and how is the progress SDGs before COVID, and then what is a CSO role and how is the strategic view for Indonesian ECOSOC membership priority, and what is Indonesia progress in achieving SDGs during COVID pandemic, and how INFID respond COVID, and what is the way forward. INFID is called it as the old organization because we established in 1985, and we have 88 member organization in across 34 provinces, like Kontras, ICW, PPHI, Koalisi Perempuan Indonesia, WALHI, Kapal Perempuan, etc. Many of a big organization is a part of member of INFID, and we granted UN special consultative status in the ECOSOC in 2004. That's why we always have a report to the UN ECOSOC for every 4 years. We have a report to the ECOSOC. Started from 2030, INFID program is first is reducing inequality, second is implementation SDGs, and the third is human rights and democracy. We also work with some international organization affiliated with some international organization like ASEAN Africa Development, Civicus, Asia Development Agency, etc. And we awarded from Ministry of Home Affairs as Human Rights or Social and Human Rights Organization in 2017. What is the next slide? The SDGs implementation in Indonesia. Actually, we have a better progress compared to other country, because we already have some fundamental modality that need to achieve SDGs. We already have a legal basis like Presidential Decree number 59 2015 and some of Ministry Development Planning Regulation about the coordination and implementation SDGs and formation of implementing teamwork in SDGs and expert team. We also have Indonesia also have some of formulation action plan. We already have roadmap on SDGs to 2030, national action plan and regional action plan. And we also have what is sub-national action plan. And other important achievement is we already mapping target and indicator what will be achieved. We know that not all the SDGs have a indicator and what is the indicator. So we mapping between global and national target and indicator. We already have that, and then alignment the SDGs with RPJMN, the national plan development, medium term national plan development, and we also have metadata that as data for monitoring the progress. We also active in submission of VNR, Voluntary National Report, in 2015 and 2019. Hopefully, we will submit the next 21st of Voluntary National Report. But in this, what we have achieved, we still have struggle to implement the principle of SDGs, like no one left behind, inclusive partnership, etc. We still have a challenge in that, because the situation of Indonesia, the broad area of Indonesia, and the governance in how the governance should be changed or switched in the work is a challenge. Next slide. Other achievement is what is the CSO role in SDGs. It's not just INFID role, but INFID as a coordinator of CSO coordinate some action and advocacy Like we already work with many TSO in national, regional, ASEAN, and etc., and in international to formulate the SDGs goal and target, formulate the goal and target since 2013, including manage some meeting in Indonesia and some meeting in international level. We also encourage multi-stakeholder involved, non-state actor, especially for university, private sector, philanthropy, and media to participate in the governance of SDGs and support SDGs implementation in local. Some of we also in this strategy we we increase capacity of CSO to improve their capacity to work together with the local government and other development actor to formulate the action plan and some of priority. We also create local champion and provide more success story and what is the things of what is the milestone of SDGs achievement. And some activity we also help district or subnational team to formulate rencana aksi daerah or subnational action plan and increase the university to set up SDGs center in some university like in Jember, in Aceh, etc., in Bengkulu, and conduct national coordination government and with government agency and ministry, and also promote the SDGs campaign. Some we promote in what is in public transportation, in what is in media, etc. This is a part of what is CSO implementation. The next slide is output of CSO role. Next slide, output of CSO role in supporting SDGs implementation. We give output of framework on local action plan is the local implementation in district. We also provide tools for SDGs promotion and adoption guideline for government. This is like input and policy, like policy and technical what is idea to promote the SDGs and annual TSO meeting on SDGs since 2030 until 2080, and we absent in 2019 and 2020 because the situation of what is COVID situation, I think. And we also have a prominent person as SDGs ambassador, like a celebrity, artist, local government, local what is a leader of religion, etc., who are very progressive to be a prominent person to or a spokesperson on SDGs ambassador, and we provide policy input or president regulation in 2070 and some of policy and program in SDGs. The next is slide. Next slide is what is INFID role and UN special consultative. This is we participate in international meeting and UN meeting, and also participate in UNGA, UN General Assembly, to see the progress, to launch SDGs and see the progress of SDGs. And the Indonesian progress achieving SDGs before pandemic actually is quite good compared to other country, of course. Next slide. This is the what is the SDG summit. There is some alarm about the SDGs achievement based on SDGs summit in 2019. The poverty is of the poverty reduction is off the track. Food insecurity, the equality education, and is equal inclusive education is still off the track. Fully gender equality is not been achieved, especially for gender and economic. Some of gender equality is have progress, even slow. There is a progress, but gender and economic we are very stagnant. And unstable use of natural resources. This is the alarm before pandemic. The next slide is this is how government, how international see the SDGs achievement in Indonesia. Some red warna merah indicate that we need to work hard to achieve the indicator. Orange is we need hard work seriously, and the yellow is we need work, but the target will be achieved, have potential to be achieved. Like goal 2, 3, 6, 9, 10, 15, and 17 is need what is effort, more effort to achieve the target. And goal 1, 5, 7, 8, 11, 40, and 16, we need work hard, but we have possibility to achieve the target. And the yellow is goal 4, 12, and 13. We need work and need work hard and will achieve this. And some of trend status SDGs, like you see in this presentation, on the track we have moderate improving, and then stagnant is goal 5, gender equality, and the goal 11, 14, 15, and 17. This report you can see for the Sustainable Development Report 2020, and you can more deep see the achievement of SDGs. The next slide is how is Indonesia achieve SDGs during COVID pandemic. Of course, we get many problem. COVID affect overall goal of SDGs, especially for the vulnerable and marginalized group who often receive a stigma and discrimination, such migrant, refugee, women, minority, people with disability, elderly, children, etc. Even I think in the social protection, we not very serious attention for disability and elderly. This why I said that we need to be seriously to to implement the principle of no one left behind. In the goal 1, the number of poor people of course increase. And then this is a Smeru research said that from 8.5 and there is what is the rate of poverty is increased. And then goal 3, of course, in health issues, number of total positive, as you see, the total number of positive cases increase day by day increase, and then the COVID also disrupt other health services like TB, sexual reproductive services, and also victim of the violence against women. Some of health services stop or not effectively work because they concern to the COVID-19. And the goal 5, the goal 4, it's happened in many countries. What is the many organization, many children have no opportunity to go to school. And the school 5, there is a increased number of violence against women, and there is a change of number. There is change of law on child marriage, but the number of child marriage increased because people or community use merit as survive strategy. And the other is goal 8, goal 11, goal 10, and goal, as you see in the presentation, and goal 11. Next slide is what is the program specifically INFID on economic. INFID as a secretariat not work on economic per se, like what is medium, small, micro, and medium enterprise. Our member have some activity on this business, but INFID focus on the policy. We support government to implement business and human rights, and we promote decent work and reduce inequality, as we also publish research about the inequality report with Oxfam. And we already gave some policy input how to encourage multi-stakeholder partnership on SDGs implementation, including how to invite private sector like Gojek, etc. Include involved in how to overcome the crisis in during the COVID. What is the strategy view on ECOSOC membership? This is the next slide. We already have 2 slides. We'll have 2 slides. Yeah, we see that as a member of as a leader of ECOSOC government, Indonesia have a priority creative economic to boost inclusive economic growth, digital economic taxation, and then innovative financing fund. But this what is initiative need to ensure that the achievement of these 3 priority will not expand about the environmental damage, then will not lower the decent work, and will not widening the gap. This is how we promote how government have what is balance in 3 priority, and how to maintain achievement of the other SDGs. The way forward, this is last presentation. Next presentation. As Indonesia committed in SDGs implementation and membership in ECOSOC, Indonesia committed to submit VNR. We hope that will submitted by government. Mainstreaming ECOSOC and SDGs action plan local government, and we also encourage government to encourage multi-stakeholder partnership fund, trust fund, to access by not only government our state actor, but also non-state actor can access that fund, because including what is the business, and also CSO, so will have what is will have impact to the SDGs achievement. Increase the tax revenue. We need to discuss how to increase the tax revenue, and especially from cooperation who investigating illicit financial flow and encouraging the financial beneficial ownership, and establish e-commerce tax regulation. Of course, this is very controversial, because many of business will reviews of this. But in any country, e-commerce tax regulation is already established, but we don't have stuff, about the e-commerce tax regulation. How to? This is a part of opportunity to increase financing SDGs, as we want to increase fund to financing SDGs. I think this is some way forward. Thank you, Mbak Dian, please.
Terima kasih. Thank you very much, Ibu Dian. Yeah, I want to conclude a little bit about the Ibu Dian's point. Ibu Dian highlighted how that we are relatively on track, because we have all the modalities, such as various legal bases for the achievement of SDGs, but there are still challenges to implement the principles, such as no one left behind, and how to ensure that we can still have an inclusive partnership. I have just one question. You already mentioned here that there are some kind of expectations for Indonesia's membership in ECOSOC next year. You mentioned that this initiative needs to be it will not expand environmental damages and lower decent work and widening the gap. I'm just wondering, can you elaborate more on what is the line here, how Indonesia can balance these concerns and these priorities? Thank you, Ibu.
Yeah, thank you. Of course, if we see that to increase the income or to find we need investation, like to increase the investation, because investation create the job, and create the fund from tax. But we need to be more to be more wise. How to give permission on investation is not violate the environment, like what is the damaging environmental, and lowering the environmental standard, lowering the what is human rights standard for the job seeker. It will very if we lowering the standard, then we will violate we have problem with environmental, with damaging the environmental. So we need what is job for the job seeker. We need the what job field for the job seeker, but standard of protection should be not lowering, but also not be the flexibility should be not violate the human right and what is the human security. This Dian. That's why I think we need to be very careful read on what is like omnibus law, how this maybe we need to be more attention, more carefully, because sometimes how is the law regulate will different how is the practice. So this is the challenge, how we need to to maintain human right, balancing the environmental, human rights and work, and how to not to be widening the inequality.
Thank you, Ibu Dian.
Yeah.
So far, we have heard the perspectives from the government, from the international organization, and from Ibu Dian, from the NGOs. It is also important for this webinar to have an insight from the private sector. And for that, we are very honored to have Ibu Shinta Kamdani, who is a member of the Global Investors for Sustainable Development Alliance. Ibu Shinta is the Chief Executive Officer of the Sintesa Group, and we also know her as the Vice Chairwoman of Indonesia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Orkadin. Ibu Shinta would talk about investors' role in supporting SDGs achievement in Indonesia. Ibu Shinta, the platform is yours.
Thank you very much, and thank you again for this opportunity to share some of the business perspective. Primarily on investing also in SDG. So let me start by sharing my first slide. I think we have to be aware that, of course, COVID-19 pandemic is the result from the imbalanced ecosystem. From the first slide, if we look at the first slide, we already seen that the interlink of all 17 SDG towards the economic and social development. I think the health and well-being goal, SDG number 3, that has been further backtracked due to COVID. And this is the overarching actually result from all the SDG to which all others are contribute. I think due to COVID-19, Indonesia have experienced massive economic and social loss. As we see, our number of COVID-19 cases are still growing by the day. We have reached, I think, about 448,000 numbers in Southeast Asia, or one of the highest in Southeast Asia. I think economic loss context also, our GDP has been declining by -3% in third quarter of 2020. Even though definitely we have seen some progress and improvement. I think what also need to be paid attention is the unemployment rate, which is also increasing. Before COVID, we have about 7 million, and we have additional about 3 million as of today. Against this backdrop, I think we know that we have to do something. And as we see from the figure 1, that the climate action goal, SDG number 13, and the partnership of the goal, SDG 17, I think are most also important influencers and enablers for other SDGs. We need to push this action more significant as the part of better economic and social recovery. Moreover, we also have seen the growth of domestic direct investment by 8.7%. I think this opportunity in aligning this investment to an SDG has to be definitely captured. Next. Ultimately, achieving the SDG required funding. And even before COVID-19, we already have numerous financial resources, both from private and public investment. And the key here is to align those investment towards the implementation of the 2030 agenda. As the investors, we know that the objective of investment is to obviously make return. However, we need to shift the mindset from a short-term investor to value sustainable investing, where the value proposition for private and public sectors are to preserve the long-term value of asset by doing no harm and contributing solutions to sustainable development challenges, thereby reducing risk and enhancing resilience of the global financial system using the SDG as the basis of measurement. The next slide, I think according to Bappenas, by 2030, the total cost needed to achieve SDG goals will reach about 10,000 trillion rupiah over. Therefore, it is difficult, I think, to achieve the SDG goals in Indonesia depending only on the state budget. According to Bappenas, the financing gap is about 2,000 trillion rupiah. In funds, that this is really the gap on the financing. So the financing gap is identified on the infrastructure, climate change and biodiversity, food security, education, and health. On the other hand, there is also a widening era of conventional financial instrument of opportunities available that we can channel toward the SDG goal. That could provide a more positive financial return that allocate into two investment strategies. First is the sustainable reporting investment strategy that focus on profit maximization while considering the impact of environmental, social, and governance. So we call the ESG factors. And the second is the impact investment, which aims to generate positive social and environmental impact in a market rate even lower of financial return. Some instrument that can be allocated is, for example, the blended finance scheme, also bonds instead debt from a bond issuer, and also green sukuk, for example. I think it's Syria security, which issued proceeds are used to finance environmental projects. There are also wide area of innovative financing from private sectors such as CSI, impact fund, philanthropy, even crowdfunding now is also popular, and this can be channeled through SDG as well. Next, the investor plays important role in mobilizing resources for various reasons, such as sustainable development on driving fund towards SDG, promoting inclusive and sustainable economies and societies that are more resilient in the face of this pandemic, and adaptation and mitigation to climate change, and also addressing many of other global challenges, such as we play important role. The investor is expected to renew sustainable financing policy, referring to the SDG with combining a global and local approach. Based on the BPS data, I think the total domestic investment in 2018 is about 4,626 trillion rupiah. And I think this can we can see some renewed financing policy that embedding the SDG will be significant to help the country to achieve the SDG. At global level, next, the UN also in October 2019 established what we call the GISD Alliance, or the Global Investor for Stable Development. So I was asked to sit as member, and the new alliance is the chief executive coordinated by UNCTAD and the UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Compromise about 30 CEO and focus on incentivizing larger amount of long-term investment for sustainable development. So what is our task? Our task is to identify and implement solutions within the businesses and industry that will unlock long-term financing. And I think we have now started to work for almost more than 1 year. So GISD actually have identified several deliverables that I would like to share. Next. First is creating one or more long-term benchmark and indexes to achieve funding for the SDG. I think by encouraging both the construction and uses of benchmark that incorporate longer-term sustainability consideration. And second is develop investment platform and vehicle to catalyze finance and investment flow to developing countries in support of the SDG by developing clear roadmap for the deliverables, including map out partners and stakeholders. The third is to launch an integrated SDG investment platform to scale up sustainable investment, where the investors should work with multilateral partners to develop an integrated platform that can assist government in preparing a pipeline of bankable SDG-linked projects, and also provide blended finance solution and risk-sharing instrument that channel capital to specific national and regional projects. The third is we develop agreements and contract between asset owners and asset manager that shift the incentive and habits underpinning the investment industry to a longer-term sustainability perspective. And this can be done, for example, through designing contracts, encourage asset managers to use longer-term benchmarking and evaluate performance based on a longer-term criteria. The fourth is creating a unique set of core industry-specific SDG-related reporting standards. So we work with key networks such as GRI, FAC, SB, SASB, to create this set of industry-specific standard. And the fifth is upgrading existing corporate governance and investor stewardship codes to incorporate the long-term SDG lens through working with broader industry and regulator in major economies to offset also the above trend by inserting a greater emphasis on long-term and SDG into corporate governance and investor stewardship. Lastly, also establishing the global standard setting body for sustainable financing, where the CEO could engage multilateral policy makers to create a more global standard setting body covering corporate and financial institutions. Next, we also okay. I think I wanted to touch about the objective of the Indonesia membership in ECOSOC. For us, there are three aspects that's important. First is to encourage the acceleration of the achievement of SDG, I think related to human rights, particularly in the field of economic and social rights, in line with national program. Second, to contribute to economic transformation, especially in the economic sector, which has high added value for the prosperity of the nation. I think we have to encourage investment in production and trade in the creative sector, as well as support in the role of the micro, small, and medium enterprises, women, the younger generation, and local community in creative economic development. And the third is to promote a post-pandemic economic and social recovery efforts. What is the recommendation on Indonesia plan in pushing its three priorities ECOSOC? So these are some of our recommendations. I think we know that the creative economy in this space, the Indonesian creative economy has been recognized as one of the major spearheaded of Indonesian economy. The sector has contributed about 7.44% to the country's GDP in 2017 and values for about 990 trillion rupiah. However, I think due to COVID, it cannot be denied that the economic and social fallout have jeopardized the industry. Hence, I think significant reform need to be speed up, and as the majority of the creative economic industry come from the MSME that are the backbone of 90% of Indonesian economy. I think before COVID, the industry already faced many challenges, similar like any other also businesses, such as lack of knowledge on technology, market limited quality of human resources, lack of access to capital, as well as business formalization. There's a few recommendations that we have to reconsider to develop our creative industry capabilities, such as promoting capacity building and creative economy innovation. Also providing platforms such as business incubation, providing mentor as well access to funding, and also support intellectual property rights for the MISME and building technical assistance. The other side of there's also an opportunity, I think, to reset the industry, not only to be economically better, but also to be so more sustainable that can contribute positively to the SDG. On the digital taxation, I think, as we know, Indonesia is the biggest and fastest growing of internet economy in Southeast Asia. And Indonesia internet user has massively reached about 175 million people. This leads into the growth of digital business, in particular e-commerce. The fast acceleration of the digital economies has increasingly intertwined with the traditional economy. It has been widely acknowledged that the fast growth of the digital economy has imposed new challenges on tax policy makers. As of September 2020, there are 22 countries around the world that have passed or implemented direct tax or on digital economy, and there are 16 countries that have either announced the intention to implement or are in the process of drafting legislation. Indonesia is in the list of countries that have implemented both direct and indirect tax targeted at the digital economy. In relation to the application of tax rule, is particularly designed for traditional business and very much challenging to be adapted by digital business model due to the nature of the business itself. So as the business may not have physical presence where they are physically operated in other countries, within the unilateral or global framework of business, our tax system, I think, needs to be evolved. And the original tax framework was built around single source products, and within the context and landscape, the tax framework needs to be reflecting the interconnected and complex trade patterns that drive our globalized world. And this reflects the international nature, the way goods and services are created and sold today. The second is also, as for now, we need to consider possible economic and social impact of digital taxation. I think unilateral measures taken by different countries to tackle the taxation can be broadly categorized into direct and indirect tax. And we also have seen form of income tax and proposed in most countries through imposing what we call the digital services tax or withholding tax on digital permanent establishment. On the other hand, indirect tax is managed through the collection of value-added tax or global and services tax. Indonesia is in the list of countries that have implemented this. And I think right now, in regards to the broader policy evaluation, I think simplifying the complex framework is very crucial. Global commerce has evolved and so much also on our tax system. I think our modern global tax framework needs to reflect the interconnected and complex trade pattern. The implementation also without due diligence can cause potential problems for entrepreneurs. So we need to consider about how it is implemented and what factors will be affected, as well as the legal certainty mechanism in the application of the tax policy globally. And lastly, I think the policy making process on digital taxation needs to consult with the related private sector, especially the financial technology players. So the plan to implement a digital economic tax will not hinder the growth of the digital economy. On the final slide, on innovative financing, I think the third priority in ECOSOC, I've touched a number of innovative financing earlier. Definitely, this is crucial to accelerate Indonesia's effort in achieving SDG, where significant financing gap will still remain. The critical key here is how to mobilize more funding into innovating financing that could be channeled towards economic recovery that is more green and more sustainable. So some of our recommendation would be private and public sector joint commitment in building investment platform to advance SDG through COVID-19 bonds, risk-sharing tools, blended finance, and business matchmaking platform in the starting point to innovate financing to be more effective. Also accelerating the development of financial infrastructure, which offer the de-risk investment opportunity as a result of multi-stakeholder approach from all like-minded parties, each offering their expertise and resources in also a crucial factor. Design, for example, of financial instrument to finance development and sustainability, such as green sukuk, blended finance, CSR, and some other things. These are all enabling factors by offering investor with variety of options to choose from. Third is provide the impact facilitation framework for authenticating investment practice that puts impact at the heart of the performance. This can be achieved through advancing set of core impact investing measurement metrics, such as RS and SRLI, that can be widely adopted and integrated into existing reporting framework. And finally, would like to encourage and reward sustainable investors by providing financial, fiscal, and regulatory incentive to encourage capital investment. So that's it from us. We hope for more fruitful discussion later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ibu Shinta. It's a very robust and all-encompassing presentation. I'm taking some notes that you are saying that the achieving SDGs require funding. That is one of the most important issue, and it's impossible for the government to fund all of the goals. And the Global Investor for Sustainable Development Alliance is trying to find solution within businesses and the industry to find a long-term financing for SDGs and rather than short-term returns. And you also suggested that the reform need to be speed up more due to challenges from the COVID pandemic. I believe that we have still about 10 minutes left for the discussion. So let's start the Q&A session. And I believe Vela has selected some of the questions. She will moderate the Q&A session. Please, Vela.
Okay, thank you very much, Dian, and thank you very much all speakers. That was very delightful. I have collected some questions to discuss. Unfortunately, there is no UNDP representative to join us in this Q&A session. However, I hope we will still have a fruitful Q&A session with Pak Agus, Bu Dian, and Bu Shinta. I have received some questions regarding the blended financing, green financing. However, there is one question that one question that is most interesting for me. It is regarding the newly passed law on job creation, or UU Cipta Lapangan Kerja. So this participant is asking, they said the law is aimed, among other things, to boost the country's economic growth. However, there are some points in the law that are being scrutinized by the public, particularly in regards to environmental protection and workers' protection. They think it would detrimental to Indonesia's efforts to achieve the 2030 SDGs. So I believe this question can be answered by all panels. Maybe we can first with Pak Agus, and then Bu Dian, and then Bu Shinta. Do you have any comments about it, please, Pak Agus?
Thank you, Ibu Vela, for giving the question. And now I believe the omnibus law relating for job creation, this does not hamper any efforts by the government to have its to continue with the workers' rights. I think this is still in line with the ILO standards, the International Labour Organization, and they have, I mean, even in number of statements made by international organizations, they have not seen anything that could hamper or would be in decline to Indonesia's protection for the workers. And also on matters related to environment also, we do not see that this will even strengthen our effort. I mean, of course, we all probably know that Indonesia still continue to be committed with the Paris Agreement. We have our nationally determined contribution set with ambitious targets. So overall, that Indonesia believe that with this omnibus job creation will certainly strengthen our effort for economic and social recovery. Thank you, Bu Vela.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Agus. Maybe Bu Dian can share her thoughts on this. You're still on mute, Bu Dian. I'm sorry. Bu Dian, you're still on mute. Okay.
This omnibus law on job creation is macro regulation. Yeah, we still need that law need to be followed up by some regulation. Like there is need 37 government regulation, peraturan pemerintah, and 5 presidential regulation. Which is in this 37 government regulation, there is a government regulation on environmental standard. I think we need to be monitored, like civil society on people who concern on environmental should be monitored on how the regulation, government regulation drafting on environmental safeguard. So when we we advocate on this, we give policy input on this some government regulation and presidential regulation, so we can avoid environmental damages, and we can avoid human rights violation on the right of the what is the right of the worker. I think the devil is in the what is the detail, but the detail is in the peraturan pemerintah, and presidential peraturan presiden should be monitored by civil society to ensure how that regulation guarantee the what is the environmental and the human rights standard. Thank you.
Thank you, Bu Dian. Ibu Shinta.
I think we need to understand the objective of the omnibus job creation. Definitely, at the end of the day, the omnibus is the structural reform that Indonesia has been waiting for. I think that's the first foremost importance, and we also understand why we need to do it. You know, with all the HEPA regulations, all the inconsistency, improving investment climate, and thus. So I think it is clear that this law is very much needed. Now, I think the question is, would it jeopardize some of the crucial importance when we talk today about SDG? We talk about the economic and social impact is equally important. So it should not be we should not regress in for example on the human rights aspect, as well as on the environmental aspect while we are trying to achieve this structural reform. So I think I would support Agustaviano comment and saying that the government, I think, is very committed in order to do this. So many of the problem is, I think, in terms of the understanding of the law itself, that many has created misinformation or misunderstanding the definition of what is the spirit of the law, even if we talk about environment. So so I would agree also with Dian. Yeah. So I think most crucial right now that all of us, including business as well, needs to make sure to ensure that the implementing regulation, there are about 42, I think, would be in line with the spirit of the law. And if the government really said they are committed, of course, it will be reflected in the implementing regulation. So this is our job, all of our job. I wanted to specially mention this because I think there seems to be a sense that business is trying to sacrifice, right? This is actually the momentum that is important for business to integrate SDG into their business model. This is the momentum because we are transforming our business anyway now. We're talking about innovation and technology. We talk about human capital development. Those are aspects that will be important for us to think through while we think about the future transformation. So it's no-brainer, no doubt that SDG will be key. And this is why we have been pushing actors right now. This is the time that we need to invest in SDG. We can't rely on state budget. We can't rely on just government. We need to do it on each of our respective corporations. So I do hope that all this, I think, negativism regarding, backtracking some of important issues can be addressed with the implementing regulation, because I do believe that the government means well. I think there's no attention from government to want to backtrack from this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Shinta. Okay, so we actually only have 2 minutes left, but I still want to ask one more question to end our discussion in a lighter note. So the last question is from Esther Sambo. This is about green financing. Green financing can be an important contributor in achieving SDGs, as all speakers have rightly pointed out. However, awareness about domestic financial institutions still has a lot of room to grow, not to mention the many barriers in the market to grow green financing. If you are to name breakthroughs required to accelerate green financing in Indonesia, what would they be? So this question can also be answered by all panels. So maybe we can start all over again from Pak Agus, and then Bu Dian, and then Bu Shinta, and I will close the webinar. Pak Agus.
Yeah, thank you, Vela. I think this is a great question. And before going to answer this question, I mean, I fully agree what Ibu Shinta mentioned, that this is the right time for business to invest on SDGs. Now, when we are speaking also on SDGs, and when we are also, still in these circumstances of the pandemic of COVID-19, and if we want to bring this all together, there's a very important line that this is a time where also the green investment is needed. Why I say that is because first we are now, we look at SDGs as the 17 goals are all integrated together. We cannot see only goal number 3 for health only. We cannot see only goal number 1, 2, but they all integrated together. And the dimensions of sustainable development, which is the economic aspect, the social aspect, and the environmental aspect, should be all integrated. That's why I tend to believe that this is also the time that for any investors to to have a green investment, and this is also what the government is trying to support and trying to encourage. Now we have the green sukuk already, now we are also trying to move on and look forward for the blue bond, so there's a lot of opportunities right now. The government, and when we're speaking on related to energy, the government has already set a target of 23% of renewable energy for 2025, and I think this is a very good opportunity. And currently there are regulations that are being tried to put forward in trying to ease up the barriers. I think this was mentioned also by Shinta and Dian. There are still barriers, we do understand, but now it is also a time that we try to ease up these barriers, and the omnibus law of job creation tries to look on the all these complicated regulations and put them together, and how that investors, if they come to Indonesia, they do come with more ease and with less of complications and all of the things. So I would say this is the time for green investment to come into Indonesia. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Agus. Ibu Dian, can you share your thoughts on this too?
Sorry, there is so many room to accelerate to increase the fund. Like beside green fund, the trend in international and in some of our CSO in ASEAN discuss about bond. What is ABT bond? What is renewable energy bond. Some of have a program with bonds, and then donor or creditor will give fund if we success. This is some of project bond, and we also have in Indonesia have best practice about crowdfunding. There is we have Kita Bisa. At the time Kita Bisa in a day they can invite many people, give social solidarity to give fund to how to overcome COVID, like somebody who got of broken heart, they can collect 7 billion rupiah in a day. Like we see that our social solidarity in community is still big, and so many people can contribute fund to some of funding platform. If this managed seriously for SDGs, I think we will have opportunity to how to use that fund to achieve SDGs. And now some of crowdfunding will be improve. Not only Kita Bisa, there is some of new crowdfunding improve, and will be potential to be opportunity to increase financing for SDGs. But this depend on government how will manage this.
Yep.
Especially about transparency and accountability, and how to ensure that the fund is not used for it's not malpractice for this fund collected. Like if you some problem already raised, they collect fund, but this from radicalism. Like if we have no regulation, that can be happen. So government need to regulate this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Bu Dian. Bu Shinta, regarding green financing.
Yes, I think I love this topic. because this is something that, I think Indonesia really needs to pursue. Honestly, there have been a lot of great work, a great initiative. Unfortunately, implementation has been very weak. I have to say we are still far from where we are at the moment. As you know, even when we talk about renewable projects, financing is still more towards our fossil fuel, and also with the subsidized fossil fuel, there's no way renewable will survive. So at the end, I think the different instrument of financing as on green financing is there. But I think the execution in how to support businesses that is doing green investment really related more to the whole ecosystem. And regulation definitely play a very big role. Incentive is another one. I think we have to always calculate in terms of feasibility, and why a lot of things doesn't work is because it's just not as feasible when it's compared to the traditional businesses. So I think this needs a lot of effort coming from our government. Also, education. I think, I've experienced some renewable energy projects, for example, people still don't understand, the people in general doesn't understand what geothermal is, that's clean energy resource. So a lot of the project was being hindered also by, the community that doesn't understand. They think geothermal is dirty, right? So I think basic information and knowledge also needs to happen. So, but I do support, I really believe Indonesia definitely have the resources. We have so much opportunity of green investment. I'm excited when I talk about it, but how can we actually make it work, and how we can excel, to achieve the target that we want as well. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Ibu Shinta. I think that was it. We already 5 p.m. now. So thank you very much once again, Pak Agus, Bu Dian, and Bu Shinta. Thank you very much for the fruitful discussion today. I'm sorry I couldn't deliver all of your questions, participants. But of course, we are all here working together to help the government achieve SDGs, and hoping that Indonesia's contribution in ECOSOC will also boost Indonesia's efforts in achieving SDGs too. Now, I would like to inform you that there is another webinar coming up next week on 5G network. So we will discuss about technology next week. Make sure you register. Stay tuned to our website, thejakartapost.com, if you want to get access to a lot of insightful stories. Also, if you want to Jakarta Post to contribute more to public discourse, subscribe today on thejakartapost.com/packages. Don't forget also to follow our social media, the Jakarta Post on Facebook, @JakPost on Twitter, and @JakPost Images on Instagram. So before I officially end this webinar, I would like to invite all speakers to take picture together so that we can remember this moment. Okay, I will prepare my screen first, close everything, make it full screen. Okay, we're ready to go. I will count to 3. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Once again, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was it. Once again, thank you very much.
Pak Agus.
Thank you, Bu Dian, Kartika, Bu Shinta. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pak.
Pak Dian, terima kasih banyak. Terima kasih, Bapak. Thank you.
Have a good day. Have a great day. Stay safe, stay well. See you again next time. Thank you very much.